Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the internet, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it's an awesome honor and a privilege, as it is every day, to have you guys joining me here as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, and we got a lot of stuff to go over. Jim Carrey gets cast in Sonic the Hedgehog. Talking about the box office, Jurassic World stays at #1. Some titling rumors going around about Avengers 4. Has it just been confirmed that we've got a new title for it? We're going to get all of that stuff in a second. But first, I want to go right off the top with this. Something that may sound a little odd at first, granted, but the first thing we're going to talk about off the top here is LeBron James going to Los Angeles. Now, hold on a second. Some of you might be asking yourself, wait a minute, John. What is LeBron James, easily the greatest basketball player in the world, what does him going to Los Angeles have to do with movies? Well, here's the thing. A lot of people, including myself, have felt for a while that LeBron James would probably end up going to Los Angeles for one very important reason. He wants to be a movie mogul. Now, some of you remember a while ago, he got his new production company started called Spring Hill. And so he's got this company going. That's what he wants to do. They've already made some documentary sports stuff. But not so long ago, they also announced that just a couple of months ago that LeBron James's company, Spring Hill, has just got the rights to House Party. And they're looking at doing a reboot of House Party, amongst other things. So I thought it was a really interesting little merging of the sports and movie world, because I think the #1 reason LeBron James came to Los Angeles is because this is where he wants his life and career to be after his basketball career is done. And the best time to get it all established, if he wants to be a big movie mogul, is to do it now while he's like the biggest sports star in the world, right? So I thought, #1, it was pretty predictable that he was going to come to Los Angeles, but the fact that he came here just kind of, I think, confirmed that he's doubled down in wanting to get this new production company up and running. And LeBron James wants to be LeBron James, the movie mogul. Whether he'll succeed or fail, we'll have to wait and see. A lot of people have tried to become movie moguls that don't make it. Maybe he will, maybe he won't, but I just thought it was interesting nonetheless. Okay, guys, with that out of the way now, let's get on to getting you caught up to today with all the stuff going on in the world of movie news with a little segment we call the Movie News Feed. First up, it's Monday, so that means it's time to look at the weekend box office report, and this week there is no change in the top 2 spots. Jurassic World has once again repeated as the #1 film at the box office, taking in $60 million on its second weekend, a nearly 60% drop, but good enough to bring the film's worldwide total up to an incredible $932 million, just a roar away from the $1 billion club. Meanwhile, Pixar's Incredibles 2 again takes the #2 spot, but closes the gap with Jurassic World, taking in over $45 million, just a 43% drop from last week, which brings the worldwide total of the animated sequel up to over $646 million. In the #3 spot is Sicario: Day of the Soldado, which exceeded expectations, taking in $19 million on its opening weekend. In the 4th spot, the basketball comedy Uncle Drew made $15.5 million, and rounding out the top 5 is Ocean's 8, taking another $8 million to stay in the top 5 for the 4th straight week and bringing its total up to $210 million on just a $70 million budget. Not a lot of surprises there. I think most of us knew Jurassic World would again be #1, Incredibles 2 would again be #2. But what's neat is seeing that with that nearly 60% drop and Incredibles 2 only 40-something% drop, it's closed the gap. Like Incredibles 2 only came in $15 million behind Jurassic World. It is possible, however unlikely, that we might actually see Incredibles 2 hopscotch over Jurassic World at next week's box office. Now, of course, neither of them will be the #1 film. Obviously, next weekend, the #1 film will be Ant-Man and the Wasp. So you'll probably see Ant-Man and the Wasp in #1, Jurassic World #2, and Incredibles 2 at #3 next week. Although, don't be completely surprised. Like I said, if Incredibles 2 doesn't hopscotch over Jurassic World to take that #2 spot next weekend. Let's see what kind of legs it has. Also, Sicario: Day of the Soldado. I was not happy with the film. I'll be honest with you, I didn't like it. You can see my review for it. It's up now. But they were expecting somewhere between $10 and $13 million for the opening weekend. So coming in at $19 million opening weekend, that's got to make them happy. Next up, as some of you may remember, a live-action animation hybrid movie of Sonic the Hedgehog is currently in development, and now we know who will play the popular franchise villain, Dr. Robotnik. According to Deadline, actor Jim Carrey will take on the villainous Robotnik role, who has been a mainstay in the franchise ever since the very first Sonic game. Carrey would of course be joining Westworld's James Marsden, and the movie will be directed by Jeff Fowler, who is making his feature film directorial debut. From Deadline, Sonic the Hedgehog has spanned several iterations from Sega consoles in the 1990s to mobile fan and absorption into the Nintendo Mario Bros. Video game universe. The series has sold over 80 million physical copies of the games and over 350 million units across packaged software and mobile downloads. Sonic has also spawned 5 TV series in its history. I will confess to you right now, this Sonic the Hedgehog movie is one of those films that make me go, why are they doing this? This is a stupid idea. It's a bad idea. That being said, I really did like the casting of James Marsden. I mean, we don't know anything about what role he's going to be playing in the film, but still, he's James Marsden. I think the dude is a terrific actor, and I always love him in a lot of the stuff that he's in. But I gotta say, I love the idea of adding Jim Carrey. I like Jim Carrey in almost everything he's in. Now, he's been in some horrible movies for sure, but I'm usually tremendously entertained by him. And I know people hate it when I talk about this, but take a movie like The Incredible Burt Wonderstone with Steve Carell. Jim Carrey, of course, was like the villain in the film, but even though, think what you want about the movie, I thought Jim Carrey was awesome in that movie. Like, the whole reason why I even modestly liked that movie is just because Jim Carrey in it. The idea of Jim Carrey playing, Dr. Robotnik, I think is incredible. So, look, I'm still not thinking this movie is a very good idea, but I'm getting there. Adding Jim Carrey to that whole list and making him the villain of the film, maybe that takes it over the edge. Next up, a few months ago, it was announced that Thor Ragnarok co-stars Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson were joining the upcoming Men in Black relaunch film. This weekend, some new casting announcements for the project were made, with one very notable one. According to reports, the Big Sick and Silicon Valley star Kumail Nanjiani is joining the project as well. The reports also say that dance sensation twins Les Twins and the Big Short actor Rafe Spall have joined the film as well. From Variety, the movie has started shooting in London. Director F. Gary Gray, who also directed such films as the last Fast and Furious movie and of course Straight Outta Compton, is directing the movie from a screenplay by Art McCarram and Matt Holloway. Walter F. Parks and Laurie McDonald are producing, with Steven Spielberg as executive producer. Kind of a little bit similar to the whole Sonic the Hedgehog situation. I don't know how I feel about them trying to do a Men in Black thing again. Now look, on the one hand, Men in Black is a very popular IP. It's a potentially very profitable IP. And so I can see the allure to doing it. And look, adding Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson a few months ago did get me a little bit more interested. But I'll tell you what, adding Kumail Nanjiani to this is awesome. Now, the other additions, whatever, but Kumail Nanjiani, this dude is a comedic genius. If you did not see The Big Short, it absolutely was one of the best films of the year, deserved every Academy Award nomination that it got. It's a moving, powerful film, all carried by Kumail. Now, of course, it's based kind of on his life, but the dude is incredibly funny. If you watch his other work as well, he's got this incredible deadpan, dry sort of killer humor that he's so good at. And if he can really leverage something like that in something like a Men in Black, there might be something there. Again, like the Sonic situation, I'm not sure that I'm completely on board with this whole idea at all, but you got a pretty good director. You've got a pretty good leading cast in there, and it looks like they're building a pretty good supporting cast, especially adding Nanjiani in there. So hey, look, maybe they got something good in mind. Let's just wait and see. And finally, news emerged a while ago that there is currently development on a Quentin Tarantino idea for a Star Trek movie that is being scripted out and may or may not actually happen. And if it does, it may or may not have Quentin Tarantino himself directing it. Now, we already know that another Star Trek film is on the way from director S.J. Clarkson, the first ever female Star Trek director, and will most likely include Chris Hemsworth as Chris Pines' Captain Kirk's father. The assumption up until now is that if Tarantino's project moved forward, it would likely be a standalone film and not include the existing cast. However, Mr. Spock actor Zachary Quinto is now suggesting that Tarantino's film may be about the existing cast when he said the following in a recent interview. You know, until the deals are done and contracts are signed and schedules are cleared, nothing is set in stone, so anything can happen. My understanding is Quentin had this idea and they were shaping it and forming it, and he's off to do his Manson movie. And it would be after that that we would go maybe do one with him, which is pretty exciting and pretty cool. What's important to keep in mind here about this entire Quentin Tarantino Star Trek thing is that there is so much that is unknown right now. Like, there's not even an official green light that this movie's going to happen at all. And even if it does happen, we don't even know if Quentin Tarantino himself would be directing it. There's all this speculation that it'll be rated R. Well, nobody said it's going to be rated R. Maybe it'll be rated PG. But this is an intriguing idea because I, like a lot of other people, despite no information backing it up, I've just kind of assumed, like most people, that if Tarantino's movie does move forward, it would probably be for a standalone. It's just the way that J.J. Abrams described his conversation with Quentin Tarantino about Tarantino had this like wild idea for a movie and I loved it and I wanted to take him over to Paramount to pitch the idea. It kind of felt like it was being implied like it was a standalone thing. But according to Zachary Quinto, maybe it's not. I mean, maybe it actually does involve the existing Star Trek cast, which raises a question for me. We've also been assuming that S.J. Clarkson's Star Trek film that they are working on, and apparently would have Chris Hemsworth back as George Kirk, Captain Kirk's dad, we've just been assuming, myself included, that that film will indeed include the existing cast. But maybe it won't. I mean, I suppose it's possible that this could be a prequel to the existing movies that just focuses on George Kirk. See, I've been assuming that it would involve some kind of time travel and some kind of different dimension hopping sort of thing, that you have Captain Kirk with his dad, Captain Kirk, together on the screen for the first time, and having two of the big Hollywood Chris's, Chris Hemsworth and Chris Pine, together again on the big screen for the first time, all that kind of stuff. But I suppose that's just an assumption too. Maybe that's not the case. Look, I still think that the way this will probably work out is that S.J. Clarkson's film will be a continuation of the existing series, and that Quentin Tarantino's, despite what Zachary Quinto says, probably would be a standalone. But right now, after this comment, I guess we got to think anything's possible. Let's kind of wait and see what happens. But just remember, guys, this Tarantino movie may not even happen at all. And if it does, there's nothing that's guaranteeing that he would direct it. So let's just keep all that in mind at the same time. And that'll do it for today's installment of the Movie News Feed. And now you are all caught up to date on all the stuff going on in the movie news. And with all that stuff out of the way, it's now time for us to get to our main topics. Now, what are our main topics? The main topics are the topics submitted by you guys. Now, how do you get one of your topics or questions as a topic on the John Campea Show? It's simple. You just email me anytime at john@thejohncampeashow.com. That's john@thejohncampeashow.com. Put the word topic in the subject line. And as always, guys, keep those emails to 90 words or less. All right, let's get things going now. And the first topic we've got sent in by you guys comes to us from one of our Patreon supporters, Dion Shepard, who writes, "Hey, John, one of the cinematographers that worked on Captain America Civil War and Avengers Infinity War may have accidentally leaked the Avengers 4 titled Avengers Endgame. I know you said previously if a studio does not try to come out and PR the thing, it has a good chance of being true. What do you think? Thanks, and bring on the filthy." Yeah, so for those of you who aren't up to date on what's going on, if you didn't hear this, what was going on over the weekend. So the cinematographer, whose name is eluding me right now, I knew it like 10 minutes ago, now I forget. But anyway, cinematographer of the film, he's going to be the cinematographer on Avengers 4. On his personal website, he's got his resume. And listed on the resume, he put Avengers 4 Endgame or something like that, right? And some people caught that. And all of a sudden, on a bunch of the second and third tier level websites, this story started going around that it's been confirmed that the Avengers 4 title is Endgame. Okay, a couple of important things to note here. Number one, none of the major news sites ran with this at all. They didn't think there was anything there to run. And here's why they didn't think there was anything here to run. I highly doubt that a film professional working in the industry was unaware that, oh, I shouldn't be publishing the title of Avengers 4. It was most likely some kind of placeholder name or something like that. Look, the likelihood here is that the name of Avengers 4 is not Endgame. That's the likely scenario. It's possible. It is possible. Don't think it's completely impossible because it's not. I think it's unlikely, though, at this point, because I just don't see, I could see an accident happening like, okay, I put in a title like as a placeholder and I forgot to change it before I published. What they would not have done is actually written in the actual name of the movie when they know probably better than anybody else that that is not something meant for public knowledge. So I highly doubt, and I think that's the reason why your major outlets did not run with this as a story. And as far as the word confirmed, people play very fast and loose with the word confirmed. Confirmed means when the actual studio says it. That's when it's confirmed. It's not confirmed over, oh, that might have been an accident. It might have been this. Confirmed. Nah. So look, is it possible? Yes, there is a possibility that Endgame, because after all, Endgame is a big phrase used in Avengers 3, right? So it kind of makes sense. Plus everything we've heard from Kevin Feige about the position that the MCU is in right now, a title like Endgame would be poetic and applicable and worthy. It's not a bad title, just Avengers Endgame. Not a bad title. So it's certainly possible, but just from what we've seen, I think it is unlikely. Possible, but unlikely. So personally, I don't think Endgame's actually going to be the name of it. Although, again, I'm not going to stamp here and say it's guaranteed it won't be. It's certainly possible. Like I said, it makes sense on a lot of different levels. But I just don't see how this Hollywood professional would accidentally publish the name of the upcoming movie onto his personal website. I just can't see how that was possible. So, I doubt it. I doubt it's real. But don't fall over shock in a few months if we don't hear. Besides, Kevin Feige said we're not even going to hear the title until closer to the end of the year. And I'll be honest with you, I highly doubt that the cinematographer even knows the name. Like, I bet most of the cast of Avengers don't know the name of the movie. Like, they keep a lot of this stuff top secret. And if a lot of the stars, like if Robert Downey Jr. doesn't know the name of the movie, then I'm highly doubting that the cinematographer knows the name. So it's a lot of different things to look at. Bottom line is, I doubt this is the title, but it is possible. Let's just keep our eyes on it. All right, let's move on now to the next topic. And the next topic today gets sent in to us from Linus Knight, who writes, question regarding what exactly this statement means when they said right of refusal and who has the right, etc. Can you explain this situation to me? I don't mean to ask something that may have been explained before. Okay, so what Linus Knight was asking about specifically was about the situation involving the Hulk, right? A lot of people still don't understand. By the way, search on my YouTube channel. I've got a full video explaining why Marvel cannot make a standalone Hulk movie and how it intertwines with Universal and all that kind of stuff. So what Linus sent to me was this snapshot of another webpage explaining the situation, saying, and in that website it said, Universal has the right of first refusal to be the distributor of any standalone Hulk movie. So just to lay the groundwork a little bit, Marvel has the right, the MCU has the right to make a Hulk movie if they want. They can make a standalone Hulk movie if they want. The problem is, Marvel likes to distribute their own films as well. Disney likes to distribute because there's a lot of money to be made in distributing. They want to be able to distribute all their own movies. Understandably, every studio would like to distribute their own films. However, right now, Universal, as a distributor, has the right of first refusal to distribute any standalone Hulk film. And obviously they would do that. And so Marvel goes, well, then we're not going to make a standalone Hulk film because we don't want somebody else distributing our movies. So whoever side you take, whatever, but that's the situation basically. I'm oversimplifying it, but that's the basic nugget. Marvel can make a standalone Hulk film if they want, but if they do so, they have to let Universal distribute it, and they don't want that situation. So that phrase right of first refusal comes up, right of first refusal. And we hear that terminology in entertainment all the time. So Linus is asking specifically, what does right of first refusal mean? Let me explain it with my own situation. I was working for a company, and when I was negotiating my contracts with that company, I was in a position that I had some other companies also interested in developing some stuff that I had been putting together, right? So I had some creative outlets as well that I was involved in. So obviously, the company that I was going to be working for didn't want me doing work for other companies, but I didn't want, like if I have an idea for a show, I want somebody to be able to make it if you don't want to make it. So what we put into our contract was a right of first refusal. So let's say the company that I was working with was Company A. And basically what it means is if I come up with an idea, an entertainment idea for a show, a documentary, or whatever, I first have to go to Company A and say, hey, I've got this idea for a show. Will you make this show? And the company A now has the right to say, yes, we'll make that show, or they can say no. And if they say no, then I can go take that idea to another company. But I have to first take that idea to company A because they have right of first refusal. They get the right to either to partner with me and do whatever the project is, or to refuse it. And if they refuse it, if they give a first refusal, then I can take the idea and go somewhere else. So how this plays out with Universal, Marvel, and the Hulk is this, is that let's say Marvel wants to make a Hulk movie. Universal has the right of first refusal. If for whatever reason, Universal says, no, we don't want to distribute this, well, then the MCU isn't screwed. The right of first refusal means, well, okay, you refused, so that gives us the right to take the distribution somewhere else, in this case, back to ourselves. So it's not like only Universal can distribute it, and if Universal says no, then you're screwed. You have no distribution for your film. No, right of first refusal means, I'm going to come to you and offer you to distribute this. Oh, but Universal, you don't want to? Okay, then that means we can take it somewhere else. So in a situation like that, that's what right of first refusal means. Again, I am oversimplifying it, for sure, but that's the basic gist. When you start to hearing all these talks about entertainment and contracts and things like that, when you hear right of first refusal, that's what it means. It means, hey, you first got to go to these people, but if they say no, you're not screwed. You can now take that idea someplace else. It's just that you got to go to them first. So hopefully I didn't make that even more confusing. And again, I am oversimplifying it. There's a lot more details to it than that, but hopefully that just gives you at least a basic gist of what it means. All right. Let's move on to the final email topic of the day. And the final email topic of the day comes to us from Michelle, who writes, I saw your review of Won't You Be My Neighbor, and it made me wonder, do you think that it has the chance to be nominated and maybe even win an Oscar for Best Documentary? All right. What I often say to questions like, do you think this thing has Oscar chances, whatever, is it's far too early to tell. Right now, Won't You Be My Neighbor is the best documentary of the year. But that's right now. There are 6 more months to go in the Oscar eligibility window. 6 more months. And it is conceivable that 5 other, because the most nominees you can have is 5 for Best Documentary. It is conceivable that 5 better documentaries come out this year than Won't You Be My Neighbor. I don't know how likely that is, but it is possible. So it's really hard to say that, yes, this will get a nomination, or heaven forbid saying this will win Best Documentary, when we haven't even seen most of the documentaries still to come out this year. It's very difficult. But what I will say is this. Won't You Be My Neighbor is one of the best documentaries I've ever seen, and it is certainly probably the most moving film-going experience of any genre that I've had in a long time. It's incredibly emotionally moving. It's not the best movie I've seen all year. It's definitely the best documentary, and it's definitely the most emotionally moving movie I've seen this year. It's just ridiculous. If you haven't seen my review, you can find it on my YouTube channel. It is not safe for work. I'm just going to warn you about that in advance. It is not safe for work because the name of the video is FU, open spoiler, and not safe for work, open spoiler discussion of Won't You Be My Neighbor. But it is there. If you want to check it out, feel free. But oh my God, guys, see Won't You Be My Neighbor. It's just good for the soul. Like it's just feeding your soul watching this movie. It's absolutely wonderful and fantastic. So yeah, if the Oscars were being held tomorrow, absolutely it's getting nominated and it's probably winning. But can we say that 6 months out? No, we can't say that right now because we simply don't know what's coming. I have a hard time believing it's not going to be nominated for Best Documentary. But it is completely possible, and you can't really say for certain when we haven't even seen the other movies. For all we know, there's going to be 20 other documentaries coming out this year that are all better than Won't You Be My Neighbor. This might be the best year for documentaries in history, but, we're just going to have to wait and find out. Okay, guys, with that out of the way, I've got about 10 minutes left here, so we're going to take some of your live questions. A bunch of you guys are watching live, sending in questions, so let's jump over to that right now and get things started in the live chat board with Luna Comics, who writes, hey, John, how was it? P.S. My favorite part is, hey, a quarter. Luna, I think you were the one who was saying to me before you were going to send me the link to something. I checked my email. I did not see it. do me a favor, send it again, because I did check my email and I looked for this link that you were going to be sending me and I didn't see it. So do me a favor, send me that link again. Just email me, john@thejohncampeashow.com. Put the word link in the subject line there and let me check it out. But I have not seen it because I checked for it and I couldn't find it. Sorry. Alexander Helmer writes, why isn't Mark Hamill in more movies besides Star Wars? Well, I mean, there's a whole bunch of different reasons. The biggest one, like, it depends on if you're talking about way back when and now. Now he just may not want to work that much. I mean, it's it's that simple. He just may not want to be in that much. He's got more than enough money. He's perfectly happy the way he is, and he just may not want to work that much. So that's one thing. Going back to the previous era, it was a perfect circumstance of typecasting. Because honestly, if Steven Spielberg and George Lucas didn't make Harrison Ford Indiana Jones, I don't know how big Harrison Ford's career would have been outside of Star Wars. And it took George Lucas putting him in another one of his projects. But honestly, I think he could have fallen into, and I think the same thing happened with Carrie Fisher. You know, she did some other stuff. Mark Hamill did some other stuff, but I think they were just really caught in typecast. They were just like, oh, they were pigeonholed. That's Luke Skywalker. We can't put that guy in any of our movies. All people, it's at the time, it's the most popular movie of all time. Well, it still is today, I guess. And in that era, it was like, we don't know that we can put him in any of our other movies. Because all people are going to see is Luke Skywalker. All people are going to see is Princess Leia. And honestly, if they hadn't have put Harrison Ford in Indiana Jones, I don't know what would have happened with his career either. It could have been that all three of them could have just been narrowed down to, they're the Star Wars people. You can't put them in something else. They're Star Wars. Now, that's not nearly as much of an issue today. Today, the audiences are used to seeing movie stars in 40 different things, from one hit thing to another hit thing, whatever. So the era is different now. But yeah, like even just 15 or 20 years ago, getting pigeonholed and typecast, whatever, it was a real big problem and a struggle for some actors. So more than anything else, I think that probably has something to do with it. I really do. I think that's one of the big reasons. Let's see. By Odin's Beard, nice name, writes, what a weekend for Maple Leafs fans. 6-1 favorites for the Cup now. Yes, of course, John Tavares, he went, the biggest fish on the free market, on the free agency market, went to the Toronto Maple Leafs. They may now have the best team they have ever had in my lifetime. The Toronto Maple Leafs this coming year could be the best Toronto Maple Leafs team that has ever existed in my lifetime. And I don't want to let myself get too excited because my entire lifetime has been the story of the life of John Campea is the story of a life of disappointment with the Toronto Maple Leafs. That has been my life. So I'm trying not to get too worked up, but I'm not going to lie. I was pretty excited about that an awful lot. Let's see. Tom Gillard writes, have you seen Adrift? Yes, I have. I saw it the other night and thought it was most excellent. Also, just got my TFA, The Force Awakens, Luke Skywalker hot toy. It's amazing. Well, I mean, look, the hot toys just make, I'm just never cease to be amazed. You'd think at some point you just get used to how good they are. But every time there's a new hot toy and I pull it up on my computer and look at it, I'm just like, I cannot believe how perfect that looks. Like, it's just amazing. God, I wish they weren't. I mean, look, they're worth every penny. You're spending between $250 and $300+ per hot toy. And they're worth every penny. I get it, but I just can't allow myself to buy many of those because they're just so damn expensive. I do wish they were cheaper. But yeah, I never cease to be amazed just about how incredible those hot toys are. Just amazing. Let's see. Cameron Peterson writes, you mentioned you didn't like the theater version of School of Rock. I just saw it for the second time and loved it. Reasons why you didn't like it. The complete lack of any reasons to like it. It didn't work as a stage show for me. They're like, look, the story is already questionable in the movie. But it's just, for whatever reason, in a different medium like live stage, the weaknesses of it were just highlighted. I was not a fan of the lead performer in the production that I saw. The kids were adorable. The kids were the best part of the show. As a matter of fact, the kids were the only reason me and Ann didn't walk out. Because Ann and I thought about leaving during the intermission. But it's just that we liked the kids in it so much. The kids made it so much fun that we decided to stay. But everything else about it just didn't work for us. So like, why didn't I like it? Because there was a complete lack of anything to like other than the kids. Now, that's just my opinion. I know a lot of people that really do like the show, including you, Cameron. Obviously, you had a good time, and that's awesome. I'm glad you had such a good time with it. But yeah, it just completely fell flat for me and my wife, unfortunately. Ben Kenobi writes, Thoughts on supporting actor Tony Shalhoub, guy from Men in Black, TV shows like Wings, Monk, and Galaxy Quest. I think he's really funny. What about you? And you know what? Maybe his best work is on TV right now, which is the Amazon Prime show, The Marvelous Miss Maisel. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, I said Miss, it should have been Mrs. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is probably now the funniest show on TV. If you have not seen it because you don't have Amazon Prime, there's a reason. Like, a lot of people, when the Emmys were happening and all these awards are going to the Marvelous Miss Maisel, Mrs. Maisel, and people are like, what show is this? I understand that. It was kind of hidden away on Amazon Prime. It is the funniest show on television right now. There is no better comedy on television right now. And that's all subjective. But from my point of view, no funnier show. And Tony Shalhoub is one of the big reasons it's so damn funny. The main reason is the lead actress. She's incredible, this girl. But Tony Shalhoub is definitely one of the strong parts of the show as well. I love Tony Shalhoub. Whether you're talking about Wings, I love that show, Wings. Not a lot of people talk about Wings anymore. I used to love that show. So you got Wings. And then, of course, he was the voice of Master Splinter as well in the newest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies. But no, he's great. I love Tony Shalhoub. And if you have not checked out The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, watch it. It's amazing. Let's see. Dr. Hooligan writes, John, you should really watch The Expanse. This is the best sci-fi show since Battlestar and Firefly, but better, and it's actually scientifically accurate. I could care less if something's scientifically accurate. I don't watch my entertainment for accuracy. I watch my entertainment for entertainment. But you are not alone, Dr. Hooligan. I've had a number of people tell me I should check out The Expanse. I still never have. Honestly, I think I got soured on it because when it first came out, a couple of people I know said they didn't like it. So that just instantly soured me. I just never bothered watching it. And I don't have a lot of time to watch a lot of TV. But believe me, Dr. Hooligan, I've had a number of people on this show write to me and say, John, you got to check out this show, The Expanse. Yeah, maybe I'll give it a shot. Again, you are not alone, and tell me about it. Let's see. C. Morgs writes, hey, John, big fan from Wales. Have you ever watched Happy? Just finished it and loved every second. If so, thoughts? Nope. Haven't watched it. And I feel so stupid because a friend of mine, Brian Taylor's his name, a friend of mine created and directs that show. Him and Grant Morrison got together, created and wrote that show. You know, it's funny because I knew Brian was off shooting this movie with Nick Cage. I think it's called Mom and Dad or something like that. And the first trailer for Mom and Dad dropped, and I texted him. I think I was out of town. I was somewhere traveling, and I texted him and said, dude, just saw the trailer for, I think it's called Mom and Dad. Anyway, and dude, the trailer was amazing, and it was a really good trailer. So he texts me back, and he's like, thanks, man. And he goes, by the way, have you seen Happy yet? And I didn't realize, I feel so stupid now in hindsight. I didn't realize that Happy was one of his projects. I just thought it was just some show. He's saying, hey man, have you seen this show Happy? And I never responded to his tweet. I just looked at his tweet. It's like, oh no, I've never seen that. And I just never got around to tweeting him back. And it wasn't until like months later, that it's the information stumbled across me. It's like, that's actually Brian's show. So I still haven't had a chance to see it yet, but I got to watch it because Brian created it and directed it, and I felt so stupid about that. But no, and a couple of people have been talking about it, so I'm excited to check it out, so I will see it at some point. All right, last question of the day, guys. And listen, if you guys have sent in live questions that I don't have time to get to, don't you worry. These questions will be on tomorrow morning's companion show. We put up our latest companion video yesterday. We're going to take all the questions that you guys sent in here, and we're going to put them on tomorrow's companion video. So don't worry about it. If you sent them in, it will get answered. It'll just be answered tomorrow, so keep your eyes open for that companion video. All right, final question of the day comes to us from James Welsh, who writes, with Keanu going back to Bill and Ted, do you think he will ever do Speed 3? Forget about 2, just get him and Bullock back. Well, no on a couple levels. No, number one, that I don't think he'd go back to it, because he didn't want to go back to the second one either. But no, number two, because I don't think any studio is going to want to make it either. So, number one, you'd have to have a studio that wanted to make Speed 3. I don't think any studio is interested in making Speed 3. Number two, even if they wanted to make Speed 3, hold on a second. Let me just see what Speed 2 did at the box office. Speed 2, Cruise Control, worldwide made $164 million on a $160 million budget. This movie lost tons of money. Tons of money it lost. So, no studio is going to be interested in making Speed 3. And even if they were, I don't think Keanu Reeves would come back to do it, to be honest with you. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for joining me. Listen, don't forget, guys, do me a favor. You guys have all seen going around what's going on with YouTube ad rates and blah, blah, blah. It's hurting a lot of YouTube channels. This channel is able to stay on the air because of my Patreon supporters. So do me a favor. If you're somebody who appreciates watching the shows, go on over to www.patreon.com/John Campea and do 3 things. Number 1, you'll get all the information about what it means to be a Patreon supporter. Number 2, how being a Patreon supporter keeps these videos on the air. And number 3, what benefits there are to being a Patreon supporter, like our incredible Facebook group, our audio-only versions of the podcast, things like that. Then maybe you'll want to become a Patreon supporter too. If you do, that's awesome. And if you don't, that's perfectly fine. I'm just happy you're here being a film fan with us. All right, guys, that will do it for me for today. Thanks a lot for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until the next video, bye-bye.